Welcome to chapter 21, where we discuss the stative verbs. These are a series of verbs in Hebrew that express a state of being. So we're going to see things like kaved, the state of being heavy. It's the same word that we get kavod with glory, a heavy, weighty glory of God. But it can also be a verbal form, the state of being heavy, or something like katon, the state of being small. So these are verbs that express a state of being, and we do treat them a little bit differently as it relates to their morphology. And so we go through the paradigm again that we've just done in chapters 17 through 19 with the call. We're going to look at a different paradigm now related to stative verbs because they do behave slightly differently. The first thing that I want to kind of bring up here is this issue of how we begin to label verbs and what we're going to call a thematic vowel. A thematic vowel is going to be the vowel that is associated with the R2. In other words, the second root letter. Okay, it's going to be the vowel that's associated there. And we get this designation that Dr. Fuller uses as a pedagogical tool. In standard verbs, we're going to have something like AO. And this is what we see pretty regularly with something like katal that we have been working with. The A stands for, well, the A in this case, but in normal terms, it's going to be anything to the left side of the slash, is going to stand for the perfect. So this is the theme vowel, the R2 vowel in the perfect. Excuse me. Anything on the right side excuse me, of the slash is going to be for the imperfect and imperative. Okay? And when we say it's going to be for the imperfect imperative, what we're looking at is the theme vowel for the imperfect imperative. Okay? So, if you remember our call paradigm, in the call we have katalti, katalta, katalt, katal, katala. You have that A under the tet in all of those, okay, except for when it reduces with vocalic endings. When we get to the imperfect and imperative of the call, we have ektol, tiktol, tiktali, niktol, yiktol, right on down the road. You see, so you have that O with the tet. Okay, so that's the designation that we use. Now we don't ever see it for standard verbs because it's part of the paradigm we learned. With stative verbs now, we're going to have to start giving you the theme vowels for how they work. And what you're going to see on Moodle is I've given you several practice sheets for stative verbs, and they're all related to the differences in the theme vowels. So you'll have one for Malay, one for Kaved, and I think there's one for Katon on there. I don't know if I did Gadol or not, but there's a few different practice sheets on there, all related to the different theme vowels. Now, here's what I want to show you in this case. If we have a lowercase letter, that lowercase letter is going to stand on the side of the perfect. Okay, so if we're looking at the side of the perfect, that lowercase letter is going to stand for all third persons. Now, if I knew how to spell, this would be great. It's going to stand for all third persons. Okay, now that's going to become important in a couple of places. But what I want to show you is that this is always the case, and it's going to be best to learn it for all third persons. So just keep that in mind. I think there is a place in the textbook where Dr. Fuller limits that lowercase e to 3ms. The reason he does that is because that's the only place where you actually see the lowercase vowel. And I'll show you an example of that here in a minute. The other places, the other third persons are the 3fs and the 3cp, both of which have vocalic endings. And so what happens is that lowercase third person theme vowel actually reduces, okay? And so what it appears to be only applies to the 3ms actually is true of all third persons. And that's going to come into play down the road a little bit. So that's some of the nomenclature that we'll use for theme vowels. If you see a verb and we say write the paradigm, assume that it's a standard. Make that assumption. If we give you this designation, then you know this is a stative verb, and we've had to tell you what the vowel pattern is going to be for the R2. Okay, so a little bit of the nomenclature there. Let's look then at the paradigm. So as you can see here, we've got an AE verb, and we have an O class verb. Notice we're looking at just the perfect, so we only have the right side of the slash related to the vowels. That's all that matters. So as we go down here, we get katav, or kavadti, kavadta, kavad, kaved. Look at that. Look at that. See there? There's our third person lowercase e. Now, look at the 3FS. We would have gotten that lowercase e here as well, but because of the vocalic ending, kametse, we reduced that one just like we did in the calls. So that would have been an E though. That would have been kaveda, but because of the 3FS ending, or because of the 3FS vocalic ending, we get reduction. Same thing here in the 3CP. We get the reduction. That would have been a lowercase e theme vowel with the R2. Okay, so we just keep right on trucking down through here, and we get, let me erase some of this, very good, and we get kavadna, kevadtim. Notice the reduction in the pretonic, originally open propretonic, because the accent shifts on the heavy ending. Kevadtin, and then kavedu. Okay, so all of this is the same as the paradigm we just learned. We just now associate a different theme vowel with it. Look then at the O class, and again, we're looking at just the perfect paradigm. So we have the left side, and we have katonti, katonta, katont, katon. And notice we don't have a lowercase letter here, so even our third person is the same as all the rest. Okay. But we also get reduction, very good, because of the vocalic ending. Katana, or kotana, or katana, there we go. Katona, katonu. Now look at this one, what we've done here. Let me see if I can do this for you. Yeah, so this is what we would have been looking at. Katon nu, and if you remember with the min preposition, this noon with a silent schwa will often assimilate as a dagesh there, and that's what we've gotten in that case, so we just shorten the word a little bit. Notice in these two, ketontim, ketontin. Notice I said O right here. That is a kametz hatuf. So this schwa, remember, is what we call medial. It kind of works both ways, and in this case we're going to close it. And in a closed unaccented syllable, Hebrew requires a short vowel, so we get the kametz hatuf. That is still a short vowel right there. And then we have katanu, again, vocalic ending, R2 reduction of the O thematic vowel. Okay, so there's the perfect paradigm. Let's look at the same words with the imperfect, and you'll see very similar things here. The theme vowel we give you is an A for the imperfect imperative, and we rock right on like we always have. Ekbad, tikbad, tikbadi. Notice the dagesh lene in the middle bigad kifat letter preceded by the absence of sound. Yikbad right on down the road, and I don't think there are any oddities here. We just need to know that the theme vowel is A, and in a stative verb, we're going to have to tell you that. Remember, our standard verbs that we learned are AO. Always make that assumption. In the statives, we'll have to tell you. Okay? And then with katon, it is an O class in the perfect, but in the imperfect imperative, it's A, so it looks just like our kaved. Notice the cohoratives, same thing. Use the first person imperfects, add the A and reduce the R2. Okay, jussives look just like the three MS's, and then with the Vav consecutive, yeah, very good. Looks like that. Okay, let's keep rolling here. In the participle now is going to be a little bit different. What you want to keep in mind, and this writing is from the student who scanned the textbook. But notice here that the masculine singular participle is identical to the perfect 3ms. That's going to be something to keep in mind. We don't get the R2 reduction in these subsequent participles like we did in the regular call. But what we do get is the R1 reduction because it's in an originally open propratonic syllable. So the participles are going to be a little bit different with stative verbs. Again, if we give you a verb and we tell you to write a participle, we're going to have to tell you that it's stative somehow by giving you the designations of the vowels. That's going to tell you it's stative, so then you can know, okay, the participle in the stative looks just like the perfect 3ms, okay? So keep that in mind. Same thing here with katon in the O class, I think that's all to say about that. Oh, look at here. The active participle masculine singular is always identical to the stative. So there you go. And then infinitives, we have here kavod and katon, kevad and ketan. So there you go with those. So stative verbs, I think that's all. Yep, we'll get into chapter 22 next. There are your stative verb paradigms. Again, very similar to what we're looking at on the paradigms in chapters 17 through 19. But this time we're going to change up the theme vowels just a little bit, and we will have to tell you how that adjusts. Let me know if you have any questions on that, as always.